So you all, yes, I did it right because there she is, y'all.
Hello, hello,
Can you
hello.
hear me?
Yep, I can hear you perfect.
Yay. How are you?
I am well. How are you?
I am doing great. Let me fix my camera here. Okay, that looks a little better. Okay, let me situate this camera a little bit here. Okay, yeah, there we go. Okay. Hey, everybody. So, welcome to my Instagram Live, and I appreciate all of you tuning in. This is my third one. We are going to change the lives of millions of women through sharing our stories of turning our trauma into triumph. And so, if you have joined me for the first 2 weeks, I hope you did. And if you didn't, welcome, welcome, welcome. And I think that you're going to be tuning in every Tuesday once you tune in today. Today, I have Coach Ella joining me. Before we get into it, Coach Ella, I just want to introduce myself to people who may be new on this Instagram Live. I am Terry Long. I am the CEO of T2T LLC, and that is Trauma, the number two, Triumph. And I started this mission with a desire to change lives of women across the world. All kinds of women have gone through trauma. We all have a story, right? And I know that telling our stories will help others who may not be as courageous. And so that my whole desire is for someone every week, at least one person to be listening, and it changes their lives, impacts their lives positively. They can tell it to someone else. Someone is impacted at least every week. And that has happened already. Every Tuesday after these Instagram lives, I have had messages falling in my inbox, you all, about how the young lady that I talked to changed something for them. And so that means everything to me. If it's just one person, that means everything. So Coach Ella, hey girl, hey.
Hey, I'm so excited to be here. I've been waiting for this.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm so excited for you to be a part of this project. You and I have met before now, so I know a little bit about your story already. But I'm not here to tell your story. I want you to tell your story. One of the things that you said in one of your posts really resonated with me, and I used it when I post about this, is that there is purpose in our pain, and God can't use it, y'all, if it's a secret. There is purpose in our pain, and God can't use it if we keep it a secret. So that is the whole point of Trauma to Triumph and us going global telling our stories. So Coach Ella, do you want to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. I am Coach Ella Destiny. I am an international speaker. I am a life coach. I am an author. I am a mom. I'm a grandma. I'm all of those things. But more than that, I am a sister. I am an accountability partner. I am I am sharing my story so that I can help, like you said, so many women around the world. That is so important to me because, you know, God definitely can't use it if it's a secret. And I think a lot of times because I talk about how, uh, I talk about the BS, the belief systems that we were taught growing up, that what goes on in my house stays in my house. And so we're
Mm-hmm.
not talk about it,
Yeah.
but God can't use it if it's a secret. And so if I don't talk about what's happened to me, if I don't talk about the things that's going on in my life, how can I help somebody else? And so that is my mission and my commission, to talk about it. Ain't a secret no more, girl. Sis, come sit with us. Come have this conversation. Let me tell you what I've been through and how I can help you. And that's what this is all about. And so I'm so thankful to you for creating this platform for people to understand that even though we go through trauma, that's not the end for us. That's not our life. We had to go through these things to get us to where we are today so that we can help somebody else. And I'm going to, you know what I mean? I'm going to have those conversations. And so I'm so thankful to you for allowing me to be a part of your movement and for having this conversation.
Yes, yes, yes. So, I guess I think where we will start with you, Coach Ella, is just in your early life. Let's share about the trauma the onset of it. Like when did you first realize? Let's talk about what your trauma is, and when did you first realize? And take us through that process of all of the different things that you went through, because it's not just one component for you.
Oh, no, it's not. So my trauma was what a lot of women are dealing with today. Something that we don't talk about enough, but we have sparked the conversation and we're talking about it more and more and more women are coming forward. And that is my issues with fibroids. It started when I will say as early as I started my cycle, I started having heavy bleeding and, my periods were lasting for months and months and months at a time. I was always
Hmm.
tired, passing out, all of those things. And so back then, we weren't talking about cycles. Like we didn't have those conversations. It was just like, girl, go put a pad on and go about your business. And so nobody paid attention to what was going on. Like, this could really be something. And so it started from there. And then in high school, I started passing out a lot. My iron was low. When I started having children with my oldest son, my second child, when I went into labor, they told me that I needed to have a blood transfusion. I'm like, wow, what you mean? And they're like, you have these fibroids, they're really big. And, if we do this delivery right now, one of y'all not going to make it. And so from there, I had the blood transfusion and it just, it was a ripple effect of things that started happening after the transfusion. I had my youngest son and then after that, they told me that I needed to have a hysterectomy, and that is where the problem started. Hysterectomies are something that we don't talk about enough. We're not conscious and we're not making informed decisions about our bodies because we don't know enough about it. And that's what happened to me. I was young. And so when they tell me you need to have a hysterectomy, I'm just like, oh, okay. I didn't know to ask questions. I didn't know that this was going to not only affect me physically, but it was going to affect me mentally as well. It was going to affect my marriage. It's going to affect the people around me. And so that's where it all started from when I had fibroids and I had my hysterectomy.
So how old were you when you had the hysterectomy?
I was about, I want to say maybe 24, 25. It was early. I was young. I was young. hmm
Early 20s.
Yeah, early 20s. And then at
Full
the time,
hysterectomy?
no, I had a partial hysterectomy.
Okay.
And that is where they took out my uterus and then they took out my right ovary, my right fallopian tube. So I
So
still have
even
the
with a partial, though, you can't have any more children, right?
no, because I don't have a uterus anymore, so there's no place to hold the baby.
Right. Okay, so we're in your young 20s. You have this hysterectomy.
hmm
Did it go well?
It did not go well. So when they did the hysterectomy, I didn't know it until later on that they severed my intestines. And so they cut a hole in my intestines and then they tied the hole in a knot, just tied it up, covered it up. And for 18 months, I wasn't having a normal bowel movement. So I'm going to the bathroom, but it's not normal. And I'm just thinking I'm constipated because, mind you, they told me that my iron was low. So they gave me iron pills. Iron pills make you constipated. I'm taking iron pills 4 times a day. So
Right.
I'm thinking it's an effect from the iron pills. I didn't know until I started getting really, really sick. And this was during the time where the norovirus was out. And so they're telling me I'm going to the emergency room. They're like, oh, it's just a norovirus. It'll pass. You just got to let it run its course. And I'm like, no, this is something different. Like something isn't right. Like my skin is turning dark. I'm losing weight like really, really fast. I'm throwing up, but I'm not going to the bathroom. And we know the stomach virus, you're going to the bathroom. I wasn't going to the
Right.
bathroom.
Right. Right.
So one night, one day I went to the emergency room maybe 3 times. And the third time that I went, um, when I got there, I vomited all over the emergency room floor, and the doctors and nurses started running over, and they're like, "You need to have surgery within the next 30 minutes, or you're not going to make it." And so what I found out was that I was vomiting my bowels. The knot had come loose, and my bowels had started backing up in my system, and it poisoned my system. And so apparently, I didn't make it because I spent a week on life support after that. And so that's where all of the problems started.
Okay. I I have to digest all of that.
It's a lot.
Baby,
hmm
they accidentally cut your intestines, because that's an accident, right? I
Yes.
mean, they weren't supposed to do that.
Hmm.
You didn't know that they had done that. Did they know that they had done that?
They knew, but they covered it up. And so when my attorneys asked for the op report, it was just a generic one. Like they just put one together, one that they use for hysterectomies all the time. My attorneys were like, no, where's the real one? And so when we obtained the real one is when we found out what really happened. And so that was a whole nother situation.
And this is after this was after the hysterectomy, and then like you said, you were on the iron pills, and I know about iron pills making you constipated because I have low blood, and so that's one of the reasons why I stopped taking the
Hmm.
iron pills. I couldn't figure out a good balance to prevent the constipation, right? And so I just stopped altogether. So okay, and so you started just vomiting up your bowels because they were backed up.
Hmm.
And okay, and so what happens after that?
So after I spent a
You
week,
went, okay, you said you were on life, you was on life support, Coach
yes,
Ella,
hmm,
for a whole week?
hmm,
Oh my gosh.
yes, ma'am. Um, they when they well, when my bowels started poisoning my system, I developed all types of toxic shock and sepsis and all of that stuff. And so that's what landed me there. That's how my skin started turning dark. That's how I ended up on life support for a week. And then, after that, and then fixing my intestines, they put a piece of mesh over the hole. And so after I got out of the hospital from that, I started having more stomach pains. And I'm like, something isn't right. Something's going on. Well, I developed a hernia. And
Yeah.
so when I went in for a hernia repair, they used a piece of mesh to fix it, but the ring broke on the mesh and damaged my liver and my kidney. So when they were having the recalls and all of that stuff on the hernia mesh, I was a part of the recalls. The ring broke and it damaged my liver and my kidney. And so I had to have a part of the mesh removed. So now we're going into the multiple surgeries because I had 11 abdominal
I'm
surgeries.
about to say now, how many have we had up to this point? You
So
had this.
this is probably 3 at this point. Um, And so after they removed part of the mesh, now I developed scar tissue. Well, they have to go back in and they have to get the scar tissue out. So they go back in and they're removing the scar tissue. And when they intubated me, when they put me under, they scratched the back of my esophagus. So 2-hour surgery turned into 4 hours where they resuscitated. They were resuscitating me and they came out and they told my parents, we had to bag your daughter 3 times. She didn't make it.
What does that mean when you say we had to bag your daughter 3 times? What does that mean?
That means that I coded. It means that it was cold blue, that your daughter died. We bagged
That's
her.
what I thought, but I had to be clear for everyone else on here. Like that's what that means.
Hmm. We tried to save her. She didn't make it. Is what they told my parents. Um,
Imagine being your parents. I
mhm.
mean, I can't imagine even being you, but even imagine being them being told that their daughter, there's nothing else they can do. Their daughter's gone. They got a bag. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But baby, you talking to me today.
Telling you,
So,
nothing but God.
woo.
It's so important for me to have these conversations and to share with people because I went from tragedy to triumph. It went on. It went on because after, that surgery, I developed a whole bunch of scar tissue and all of those things. So now I'm having all of these other surgeries to get the scar tissue. I'm developing hernias. And so, I had the last surgery that I had, they told me, this is going to be the worst pain of your life. We're going to go in and scrape all of the scar tissue. I stayed in the hospital for a week. And so they did the surgery and they cut me from hip to hip. But then during that procedure, I lost my navel. So I don't have a navel anymore, nor do I have feeling in my stomach anymore. Yes, ma'am.
Well, where's the navel?
So when they were trying to fix and take out the scar tissue, they damaged my navel. So they tried to make me another one. And so they tried to stitch a marble to my stomach to kind of make me a navel, and it didn't work. And after a while, I was like, listen, I have my life. You know,
Or do we even need our navels? What are they for?
I
Like
mean,
we don't
it's
need
the
them, do
umbilical,
we?
the mother to the baby, but outside of that, like we don't need it. And so
Right.
I
We don't need it.
point, enough is enough. I don't need it. I'm done. I'm done. And so while I'm going through all of these surgeries, physically, mentally, I'm going through something as well, because I was married when my kids were younger. When I had the hysterectomy and those things, I was married. I got married when I was 18 the first time. And so I can't say that this is the reason why, but during my marriage, my then husband had a kid with someone else while we were married. And so now I'm dealing with this mentally. So,
And
after the,
this is during the time that you're dealing with health issues.
Mhm. And so now I'm dealing not only with the physical health issues, but now I'm dealing with my mental health. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and it is real. I had to deal with my mental health, because now I'm like, I'm losing my mind. This person had a kid, so now I'm going through divorce. I'm getting in relationships, and I don't feel pretty anymore. I don't want anybody to look at me. I don't have a navel. I'm just like, do you want kids? Are you going to cheat on me because I can't give you a kid? So I went through all of these things mentally, as well as my body is still trying to heal physically.
Mm.
So yeah, it was definitely a lot.
Do you feel that the getting the baby during that time while you were married on you outside of your marriage, is that what caused the divorce?
Absolutely. I think that, amongst other things, because now I have this I had this hysterectomy, so now my hormones are all over the place. I'm not happy
Mm-hmm.
anymore. I'm crying all the time. I'm just going through all of these ups and downs. I don't know what to do with myself. I'm young. I have these kids, and it was just like, it had gotten crazy, and
Wow.
we were not mature enough in our minds to deal with it and figure it out. And so,
And mind you, you're still in your 20s, right?
mhm, mhm,
Woo, that's a lot for someone in their that's a lot for someone in their 50s.
mhm.
But for someone in their 20s, that's a lot. That's
Yeah,
a
it definitely was heavy. And as I got older and I kept having the surgeries and all of those things, my children are getting older. And so now, it's not only affecting me, but it's affecting my children as well, because, you know,
mm-hmm.
I remember my daughter being at high school, her senior year, she had a half a day schedule. So she would get up in the morning time, she would go to school, get out of school, come home from work, change my drain tubes. She would feed me, she would bathe me, make sure that my sons were okay before she went to work. And then when she got off of work, she had to come home, she had to cook dinner, she had to do all of these things because I couldn't do it. I had to have people to help me to walk again because I couldn't walk. I couldn't get out of the bed. I had stitches, staples, drain tubes. I had all of these things going on. And my children had to grow up fast.
Mm,
My oldest son had to become the man fast. My daughter had to become me. And
mm.
emotional
Woo,
when I think about how much of their life was taken because of
what you were
I,
going through.
I was going through. And then I remember the last surgery that I had, I took a notepad and I wrote down all the bills. And I gave my daughter my bank card and I told her, if I don't make it back, this is how you pay the bills. This is how you take care of your brothers. And then I had to teach my sons how to respect my daughter because I said that she is the closest thing to me that you guys will ever get. So it was definitely a lot. It
Yeah.
was a, but God, but God.
Okay. Okay. Now, during that time, Coach Ella, were you spiritual at that time, or did God enter your life and your heart in the process?
Um, So of course, you know, when you're young and you're growing up in a Christian household and all of that stuff, you know, you got to get baptized at this age. But my spirituality grew in those moments where I could do nothing but lay in the bed and pray and call on God. You know, and I'm just saying, God, if you get me through this, you know, we have those moments where, Lord, if you just help me get through this, if you just fix it, you know,
Right.
those are real. And so those are the moments that, you know, I drew closer to God. Those are the moments where I had to press into God because nobody else could save me.
And
Nobody else could do for me what God could do for me. And so I
it,
had to have a choice. You know, that was when they say your bottom or your lowest and all of that. That's where I was. And so I had to grow spiritually because I knew God was the only soul, the only spirit that could fix me and save me.
he knew that though. Isn't it something though, how he knows what it'll take for us to get what we need.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it takes for us to go through gut wrenching stuff and that he will allow, but he still be having a whole time. He knew when they bagged you 3 times that he knew that they didn't know what they were talking about. You know what I mean? He
Mm-hmm.
knew that he was going to use you for a time in this life to do exactly what you're doing.
And I say, you know, when people say, when I'm coaching people and they're saying, God, why me? I say, why not me? And I also say that this didn't happen to me, it happened for me. Because back then in my youthful days, you know, God saved me. He had to sit me down to get my attention because I was out of control. I was a complete mess. And this is me owning my truth. This is me sitting in my truth. And so I had to go through those things in order for him to clean me up, to make me what I am today. If I didn't go through those things, then I probably wouldn't be here. And I probably wouldn't be able to tell my story to help save somebody else. And so I'm so thankful for those moments. You know, we get in the moments and we are so mad and upset because we're going through things. We lose our jobs, or, you know, people pass away in our families and all of those things, and we just get so angry. And I understand. And I say thank you, God, because had I not gone through that, I wouldn't be what I am today. My children, you know, because this didn't only affect my children, but I mean, affect me, but it affected my children. So I
Right.
thank, because I never had any problems out of my children. You know, they know how to pay bills. They know how to take it. Everybody got their own places. They take care of their own families, all of those things. So this happened, you know, for a reason. This, you know, this was designed by God. And I tell people all the time, detours are designed. And it was a detour. You know, I had to go through those things because if I didn't, I probably wouldn't be here today.
And like I said, he understands, and he's very intentional about some things that he will allow to happen to us, so that he can get all the glory. You know what I mean? Because what you went through is nothing else that can explain why you're here except God. He has to get all the glory. There's
And then
nothing. I mean, there's nothing else. What else could we say?
there was definitely a purpose for that pain, for all of the things that I went through. And God could not use this if I kept it a secret. You know how they say what goes on in my house, stay in my house? Well, go to my house. I'm telling everybody, this is what I went through. I went through a divorce. I was evicted. I lost jobs, all of those things. I,
Listen.
I am telling it.
Our testimonies are what we're going to use to help all of these millions of women, because just like you, like I used to feel like, I used to be embarrassed, to be honest, to say, oh, I'm divorced or whatever, because that equals failure, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I am going to use all my failures as my testimony.
I'm telling you.
Watch what I tell you.
It is the only way. And, you know, I always reference my dad used to say, God rest his soul, my parents, in 2020, they both were hospitalized on their 47th wedding anniversary. My mom survived. My dad passed away.
Mm.
And you know, my dad was so full of wisdom and knowledge. And people will say, how in the world? Because we lost about 15 people that year, you know, to COVID and other things. And so people look at me and they say, how are you managing? And I say, it's nothing but God. But he used to always say when we went through things and we would take it to him and he will say, well, have you tried my servant Job? Because, you know, in the Bible, God took Job through a whole bunch of things. And he will always say, insert yourself. Have you tried my servant Ella? Try her. Try her. And so, you know, God tried me in so many ways. And so, you know, when I'm going through things, I always say, I'm having my Job moment right now. You know, God is, he's trying me, you know, and so if Job could get through these things, why can't I?
He went through. Listen, let me tell you something. He he went through so much. That's how I felt when I was hearing your story, like the female version. Like what in the what? And just and to know you, I haven't known you that long, but I told you, and I was very candid. I said you have a infectious energy and spirit
Wow, thank you so much.
that just kind of like it really does. It just like it goes through like just so angelic. You know what
Wow.
I mean?
And
Um,
I attribute it to God, you know, because and that's how I came about writing my book. There's nothing wrong with saying so what. And so when I hear people talking about their issues and the things that they're going through, I'll be like, so what? Listen, if it happened in the Bible and they got through it, it could happen to us. You know what I mean? And so
you
it's nothing wrong with saying so what. It's nothing wrong with saying so what. I listened to you when you were talking about how you know, you walked away from your job because they wanted you to do something that, you know, you were just not comfortable with. And I said, that was so what moment. So what? I am walking away from this, but I know that God got me. And that's
yeah.
what I talk in my book. So what? You know, God has something greater. And because you have the faith of the mustard seed that you have, God is going to do so many amazing things. He's doing something amazing in you already. And so you just needed to trust him. You just needed to take that step. People always tell me, you know, you just do things and you don't think about it. Listen, I am one that I'm going to jump because I know that God is going to throw me that net. And when he doesn't, it's intentional because nothing catches God by surprise. And so with that, he know I'm a jump. He knows I'm gonna jump. He knows what I'm gonna do. He knows what we're gonna do before we do it. It's just a matter of, are we gonna trust him? And even, are we gonna trust him with the no? Because he will tell us no sometimes too, but are we still gonna trust him?
Are we still gonna trust him and be okay with that?
No matter what. No matter what. We have to trust him.
Are
So
we able to hear him? And when he said tells us no, that's sometimes an issue for people. Like, do they think, oh well, no, that's not him telling me. You know what I mean? Like, when do we hear him when he tells us no? And
but
do
no.
we sit down, have several seats?
Listen, no is the answer also. And I remember when we were in, because I'm also an ambassador for USA Fibroid Sisters, and so I travel with a bunch of amazing women. And I remember sitting you at the table and I was talking with Cynthia Bailey, and she was just talking about how she walked away from housewives, and you know, she was just like, I was just so afraid because that was like a big thing for me. And I said, you know, sometimes the blessing isn't in what God gives you, it's in what he takes away.
What he takes away. Say that again.
Sometimes the blessing is not in what God gives you, it's in what he takes away.
Yes.
And after that, and she was like, you know what? All of these things started happening, all of these doors started opening. And so I'm saying this to you as well. That was a blessing. It wasn't that you walked away or that they forced you out of your position. See, sometimes God will force us out of our comfort zone.
Because he
He
knew I wouldn't have left no other
yeah,
way.
he will force us to level up, and we can level. Growth and comfort don't mix, and so we comfortable in that situation, but God wants us to grow. And so the blessing was what he took away.
So, okay, I know I veered off a little bit, but I want people to understand when you were going through all of that pain and that trauma, was there a moment, first of all, where you got angry with God? And if there was, tell us how you worked through that. And then what was the bridge? Like, did you reach a point of, did you hit rock bottom? Like, what was that bridge that got you over to the other side to become Coach Ella? Not Coachella the concert, y'all. Coach Ella.
I don't think that there was ever a moment that I had gotten angry with God. And I think it's because of the conversations that I used to always have with my dad. See, my dad was a person, like, he was a man of God. He was a giver. He had a service heart, all of those things. And so um, he prepared me for a time like that. So I don't think I was ever
Good. Good.
It's like, okay, God, what am I supposed to be learning? What am I supposed to be doing? What am I supposed to be teaching? And so I used that as a teachable moment for myself. And I used that to say that God is positioning me, like he getting me ready for something. I didn't know what it was then. I definitely didn't think I was being nobody's coach. Like, well, who I'm coaching? But
But you kept faith.
I
So
did.
so would you say it was your faith and your belief in God that got you through all it's 11 surgeries, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
It was your faith.
It was definitely my faith and just trusting God no matter what. Even if I didn't make it, I would have gone on knowing that I trusted God. I didn't
Because
trust.
there was a moment when you talked to one of your kids and you said, if I don't make it out of this surgery. So you had kind of had that in your mind, like, listen, God, if that's your will, let me tell my kids XYZ.
Exactly. And so it was whatever way, I trusted God. He knows what's best for me. He knew if he was going to keep me here or if I was going to go on to glory, like he knew, and so I had to be okay with that in my soul and in my spirit. And I was okay with that, whatever way. I just wanted to make sure that my children were prepared, that my family was prepared, and that, they would understand that we have to trust God no matter what it looks like, no matter what it
We
feels
have to trust him no
like.
matter what. That is powerful right there. So, okay, so in the midst of all of this, you raised two amazing kids. You continue to grow as a woman. You got through the divorce. That's another level of trauma to add on to all of the health issues that you had gone through.
Three
But you
children.
got through the divorce. Two? Say that
That's
again?
three children and two divorces.
Yes. Listen, that's again. So you
Hmm.
got through
Hmm.
three kids, two divorces, and becoming Coach Ella. Like, let's just touch on, your road to that. You wrote a book. Which came first? Did you start coaching first, or did you write the book first?
So I started coaching first, and then in the midst of my parents being in the hospital fighting for their lives with COVID, I remember it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and God woke me up and was like, write a book. And I was like, God, like my parents in the hospital fighting for their life. Like, you talking about write a book? Who writing a book? And my parents like, what? And he was like, I need you to write this book. It's not about you. It's not about your parents. It's about me and me getting the glory and what I'm about to do in your life for so many other people. So I need you to write this book. And so I wrote the book, and actually my dad gave me the title of the book unknowingly. We used to carpool together for 3 years straight, every day for 3 years. And we would have car conversations, and I started recording them. And the month of March in 2020, he was supposed to retire. And he had this sign that he used to keep on his clipboard or around his office, and it said, "There's nothing wrong with saying so what." And one day I snapped a picture of him holding it up. And while God was speaking to me, I was going through my phone looking at the pictures, and I came across that picture, and God said, "That's the book, write it." And so that's how I came up with the book, There's Nothing Wrong with Saying So What. And in that, that's when it just took my coaching to a whole nother level, because now I'm telling people my story, all of the things that I've been through. And I'm saying, if I've gone through this, the woman with the issue of blood, that was me with the whole hysterectomy and those things. My granddaughter has epilepsy, the epileptic person in the Bible, and the cheating, the infidelity, Sarah, Abram, all of those things. If I went through all of those things, and it's in the Bible, and it's clear, and these are the scriptures, and this is the word that got me through it, so what? You're going through this, you could get through it too. And so that's how.
So what?
Yep. So what? There is
So
nothing wrong.
what?
Loss of job,
Yes.
that stuff. So what? It's in the Bible. If it could happen to me, it could happen to you. And there's nothing new under the sun. So anything that we may be experiencing right now, it's happened before. It's in the Bible. Read it.
It has happened before.
Theft, robbery, uh,
Everything.
all of those things. It's all in the Bible. This ain't nothing new. It's nothing new.
Everything.
Hmm. Everything.
So what?
Oh, what?
So
Yep.
what? I'm going to read. I'm just going to go. I think I can scroll. I wanted to read some of the, to see if we had any questions, first of all. We have Casey on here, two of my favorites. Hey, girl. Chef Elaine is on here. Someone did say, so that God can get all the glory. All things work together for our good. Romans 8:28. Yes, ma'am. Amen. Amazing testimony from
Thank you.
Stan Long. Hey, honey. Yes,
Thank
coach. We are redeemed by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. Yes, 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 yes. I'm so grateful for everyone who is on here with us tonight. I am so grateful for you. I am so grateful for this platform. And you know, we're going to have to take this on the road. You do know we're going to have to tell this story, Coach
you.
Ella,
Mhm.
more than once. We're going to take this story on the road.
Absolutely. And
I'm just, I'm manifesting something here right now. No, we're not going on the road next month or anything like that. But we are going to take this story on the road across the country.
the
I'm
word
manifesting that.
the word says speak things as though they were. And so, we have to speak it. We have to speak things. And I also want to tell women, getting back to the trauma of what I went through, we have to start making informed decisions about our bodies. And I mentioned you
Mm,
as centers, because that is, again, I'm a brand ambassador for them. And so what they do is they specialize in a procedure called UFE, uterine fibroid immunization. I didn't know that was an option back then. I didn't know that I didn't have to have a hysterectomy. I didn't know that I could have this procedure and my life will be completely different. I didn't know that. And so
mm,
I travel the world. That is why I speak about it so much, because we didn't talk about it. We didn't have these conversations anymore. I have a conference called So What? You can sit with me. You can come and sit with me and we can have a conversation. I'm going to tell you my story. I'm going to help you get through this, whatever it is that you're going through. But more importantly, USA Fibroid Centers, I cannot stress that enough. Women, if you think you have fibroids, if you're not sure, if you're having heavy cycles, heavy bleeding, painful sex, all of those things are symptoms and signs of fibroids. And so go to the website, USA Fibroid Centers. Make sure you schedule a consultation. They specialize in UFE. There are other options. You don't have to go through what I went through. You don't have to have a hysterectomy that will lead to severed intestines, that will lead to life support, that will lead to all of these things, not having a navel, all of that. You don't. I went through that. I went through it so that you don't have to. So that's my trauma, and this is my triumph, that God was able to use me in a mighty way. you know
mm.
Sisters don't have to go through what I went through, because it's not to say that the next woman that goes through this will survive all of the things that I did. And so God kept me here for a reason, and that reason is to be able to help and to share and minister to and support and encourage us to take better care of our health, and to make sure that we are making informed decisions. Don't let people tell you what to do with your bodies. If you're not,
Absolutely.
make sure
I'm
you.
so grateful for oh, wait a minute. My light went out. I'm so grateful for the information. I don't know why my light went out, but you can still see me, right?
Yeah, fine.
Okay, cool. Um, I'm so grateful for you being able to provide that type of information, because there are so many women. My sister had a full hysterectomy, and maybe if she had known about this, she wouldn't have had to do that, right?
Mhm.
I have suffered with fibroids, but thank God mine have never gotten so big or so bad where anything was recommended, like surgery or anything. And at this point I'm going through menopause, and it's like, whatever. I haven't had a period now since, I don't know, November, December, and I ain't pregnant. I be trying to get pregnant through the tied tubes, but
That's saying, come
you
on now.
know um but women do need that information. People need to know that, because like I said, I know so many sisters who do struggle with fibroids, and they can be pain. Like my sister had them the size of like grapefruits, and it was really bad, and it can make you have a really big, to look like you're pregnant
Oh yeah.
sometimes.
Like, I was probably 7 or 8 months pregnant, and I have before and after pictures, and I was not pregnant. I had fibroids. And so shout out to my fibroid sisters, Shay Johnson, Kimberly King, Eugenia, Cynthia Bailey, all of us, Erica Taylor. It's a lot of us. Toya Wright. It's a lot of us. That we are having these conversations more and more, because we didn't have them. It was taboo back then. And And I honestly believe that if we had these conversations, if we talked about it, because in my family, you know, back in the day, they used to secretly have hysterectomies, and you wonder why this person never have kids. Like our whole life, they never had kids, but that was the reason why. You know, we're finding this out now, and so it's important to have these conversations. You know, it's important to talk about it, even for the men, so that, you know, they can know how to handle us and how to deal with us and how to support us. We don't talk about it with men enough, and so they think
That's right.
we go off our cycles, we're just being mean. Well, listen, I done bled for probably 30 days. I done wore pads and tampons. I don't want nothing else going up inside of me. If we being honest, like, don't touch me.
Right.
You know, but they don't know how to support us because they don't understand what we're going through. Our
They
hormones,
don't get it. They
you
don't
know,
get it.
going crazy right now. And so it's important to have these conversations. And so that's why I'm thankful for, you know, the platform that we have at USA Fibroid Center so that we can talk about it. Kim Lee does a series called Talk About You. We're talking about the uterus. We're talking about all of the signs and symptoms and the help that we can get, because
I like that. Talk about, you said
Mhm.
talk about the you or you.
Talk about the you. And
Yes, I love that.
yeah,
I love that. I love that. Okay, well, before we wrap things up, I just want you to one more time tell people how they can utilize your coaching services if they wanted to, connect with you more. How could they do that? How can they get your book and repeat the information for the fibroids again?
absolutely. So my book is on, it's called There's Nothing Wrong with Saying So What. It is on Amazon.com. It's on Target. It's on Walmart. It's on Barnes and Noble. So if you Google it, it will pop up. It's all over everywhere. And then you can go to my website to book a coaching session. You can sign up for my purpose course. I do a purpose course. And then I do the So What You Can Sit With Me conference. And that's on my website, elladestiny.com. And then for the fibroids ladies, you can go to usafibroidcenters.com, schedule your consultations. You know, someone will reach out. They will answer your questions. You can talk to the doctors so that you can have all the information that you need, so you don't have to go through what I went through and the other ladies went through. You can reach out to any of the ambassadors, Cynthia Bailey, Eugenia, Kim Lee King, Shay Johnson. It's a lot of us, Erica Taylor. You can reach out to anyone. You can go to their Instagram, USA Fibroid Centers, or fibroidfighters.org. So we're all over the place. I'm available. They're available. Everybody's available. So you don't have to go through this by yourself. You can't say you didn't know. You can't say there was no information out there, because we are here and full of information. We are here to help and to serve you guys.
I am so, so grateful for you. I, again, thank you so very much. You and I, along with a few other T2T women, we are going to take this movement everywhere, Coach Ella. Okay?
That's,
Listen, speak those things that are not as though they were, and that is exactly what I'm doing.
that's right.
So again, for those of you who are on here who are just now watching, this is my third episode of T2T Tuesdays. I'm Terry Long, and I'm very grateful for this movement. And if you all know of a woman, or if you yourself have gone through trauma and you'd like to tell your story of how you turned trauma into triumph, please, please join this project, join this mission by sending me an email. The email address is info@trauma, the number 2, triumph, DOC.com. Info@trauma, the number 2, triumph, DOC.com. And you can go to my website, www.trauma, the number 2, triumph, DOC.com. And you can send your story there as well. And yeah, next week we have another amazing lady for you all next Tuesday, 8:30, same time, same place. Thank you, Coach Ella.
Much for having me.
Thank you all so much, too. Thank you all. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.